subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to get all my latest writing tips and videos. And remember, be original. Be a writing original. What's up everybody, Adrian here, back with another video of every horror subgenre. This is part 7. We basically finished up that entire horror genre table right there, but we still got some other subgenres to talk about. So if you're a writer and you're writing a book or a screenplay and you need some ideas of horror subgenres to write about, well then you come to the right video. Also, we're going to talk about some subgenres that you probably never heard before. Certainly I never heard of them before. But if you're not writing anything, but you're just like a fan of horror and want to learn something new about the horror subgenre, then sit back and relax, and we're going to be talking about post-apocalyptic and sci-fi subgenre, teen horror, horror romance, creepy kid horror, gothic horror, body horror, king horror, and something called Lovecraftian. Something like that. So let's check out what that is and let's begin the video. So let's talk about some other horror subgenres. This list regroups other types of horror that are not really genres but more horror styles. For example, comedy is indeed a genre, but you'll find that each horror comedy can be fitted into one of the genres below. For example, zombies, Shaun of the Dead, ghosts, The Frighteners, monsters, Troll Hunter. Comedy horror, there are elements of comedy in a large number of the film genres presented, but only a few movies really emphasizes on the comedy itself. This is, however, a rising subgenre, and expect to see more horror comedies in the coming years. So some movies to check out is Little Shop of Horrors, 1960. You could also check out the remake with Rick Moranis. I really like that one. It's like a musical. Brain Dead, 1992. Shaun of the Dead, 2004, which is one of my favorite and funny zombie, films. They seem to blend the comedy with the horror just perfect. You got that British dry, sarcastic comedy, and Simon Pegg, he's the best. So you must check out that film. And then finally, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, 2010. Didn't actually see that, but it looks like a fun time. Now, comedy in general is one of the hardest genres to write, because I believe either you're funny or you're not. I don't know if you can just become funny without, people, realizing that you're faking it. So trying to mix horror with comedy, good luck. I'm not even gonna waste my time and try to pretend to know how to write comedy, because I do not know, but I know how to write horror. So, but I can't even blend the two. So, but definitely check out these movies, and maybe you can get some idea of how to write comedy, which I believe, like I said, is the hardest genre to write. Next, let's check out post-apocalyptic and sci-fi subgenre. Horror and science fiction are two close friends who like to interact with each other. Again, a lot of horror movies have science or sci-fi elements in them, but most can be classified in one of the subgenres below. If you are into sci-fi horror, then David Cronenberg is the name you want to look for. So some films to check out is Invasions of the Body Snatchers, 1956. Also the remake of that with Jeff Goldblum, that's also good too. Videodrome, 1983. That's a very strange film. Event Horizon, 1987. Very gory and graphic, but definitely check that out. I really like it. And then finally, Doomsday, 2008. It was okay. It's like a Mad Max type film, that genre. So these will give you some great ideas of the mixing of post-apocalyptic and sci-fi. So let's continue. So now let's talk about teen horror subgenre. So it's not really a subgenre in itself since it describes a kind of film that can be found in almost any subgenre, slasher mostly, but also vampires, monsters, and ghosts. Usually very cheesy, this kind of movie always features dumb teens and childish romance and an almost compulsory happy ending. Um, Appeared mostly in the late 80s and 90s. So, some movies to check out. You got Piranha 1978. You can actually check out the remake too. That one was actually pretty fun, and you had like better CGI. So, Fright Night 1985. It's about vampire who moves in next door. Night of the Demons 1988, and Prom Night 2008. Now, my recommendation is do not watch the remake. That was one of the worst remakes ever made, like ever. But the original with Jamie Lee Curtis, definitely check that one out. It has a really interesting like twist ending. But basically, teen horror, you can find that really in any type of horror movie. You just have a certain stereotype of teens. The jock, the popular kid, the nerd, the outcast, and then at first they all like hate each other, but then once the killer in a mask comes or whatever the threat is, a ghost or a monster or a vampire, and they all have to like come together, join forces, and team up. Or you have like the teen horror with the vampires in love and kind of like Twilight crap and stuff like that. So it's not really, like you said, it's not really a subgenre. It's just a group of people that you can put literally in any horror subgenre. But the rules you got to follow with the teens. You got to try to build some character, which let's face it, horror movies lack that. That's the main problem with them. But that's why I'm trying to write horror movies or just movies in general with where story comes first. And I hope you're doing the same because I'm trying to be a writing original like you guys trying to be. So you got to try to put some character development with these characters to make it somewhat like better than what we got so far. So let's continue. So now we have horror romance subgenre, which is kind of self-explanatory, but even the horror genre cannot escape the success that romance encounters in any type of cinema, often linked to vampires, but not Twilight because that one stinks. They are nevertheless a few exceptions, such as Warm Bodies, 2013. So, some films to check out is Near Dark, 1987, Let the Right One In, 2008, which is one of my favorite films. It's a vampire film. I think it's a Swedish. The original is a Swedish film. The remake you can check out. That's okay. It's not bad. But the original, it's like, it's awesome. But the romance is kind of creepy because I'm not. Just check it out, and then you'll understand what I'm saying. It's kind of, if you ever saw that movie, The Professional, Leon the Professional. It's kind of like that type of walking the line romance, if you know what I'm saying. So you can also check out Thirst, 2009, looks like a Japanese film, and then Warm Bodies, which is a zombie romance, and it's actually really good. And I like the actress. I forget her first name, but her last name is Palmer, Therese, Terry Palmer, something Palmer. But I like her a lot. So the reason like romance they try to put in horror because you gotta get the ladies on board, because they, go to the movie theater too, or they drag their boyfriends to the movie theater, and that's more money for the ladies. But sometimes the romances work. Most of the time it don't. But definitely check out these movies to give you some type of idea of how to try to put romance in a horror film. Now we get to creepy kid horror. Their innocence making them truly scary kids have always been a favorite in horror. Creepy kids is not a genre in itself, but a recurrent theme of horror that cannot be left aside. Some other um, creepy kid horror films off the top of my head. Yeah, Orphan, which, let's be honest, it really wasn't that good, but that definitely was a creepy kid. Also Pet Cemetery, which is, it just has like a part, like a sub story, a subplot line dealing with a creepy kid. I guess Chucky? Isn't that a creepy kid technically? I know it's a doll, a slasher film, but it's kind of supposed to represent like a creepy kid. I don't know. You let me know in the comments. But some films definitely to check out is The Bad Seed, 1956, The Omen, 1976, with Gregory Peck, one of my favorite actors and also one of my favorite films. Children of the Corn, 1984. The Children, 2008. There's also another film with Christopher Reeves about some creepy kids with telepathic powers, and that was a really good film. Definitely check that one out. But creepy kids in films, you know, I don't really like them because they do creep me out a lot. So I don't know. You let me know in the comments if you can watch this style of genre with creepy kids in horror films, because they kind of creep me out a little bit. So not my cup of tea of subgenre. But so anyway, let's continue. So let's look at Gothic horror subgenre. Gothic horror defines a very atmospheric type of horror, a blend between dark horror, melancholy, and romance. Associated with the Gothic culture, its main inspirations are Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley Frankenstein. So some films to take a look at is The Woman in Black, 2012, Dracula, 1992, Interview with the Vampire, 1994, and Sleepy Hollow, 1999. I didn't really like that film. It's okay, but there's a very specific style. They said it best, where it has to do with atmospheric type. So when you write Gothic horror, there's a certain rules you gotta follow, but also the atmosphere. If you can figure that out, if you can focus on that, then you got it. So I never tried to write any type of Gothic horror, but it's very interesting. I might try to write one for my next movie. So definitely check out these movies, and let's continue. So now let's talk about the body horror genre, which I never even heard before. But the body horror defines films that are centered on the human body, usually involving body transformations, deformations, and or destruction of the human body. It also covers body transformations such as the human werewolf ones. Okay, so when you turn into a werewolf, I get it. Or kind of like The Fly, right? Oh, there you go. So, movies to check out: American Werewolf in London, one of my favorite horror films of all time, 1981. Don't even bother with the sequel. That one stunk. The American Werewolf in Paris stunk. Definitely check out The Fly, 1986. Society, 1989. Didn't actually see that film, but definitely check it out. Cabin Fever, 2002. That I liked. I actually liked that movie. So there's a lot of horror movies with this style or genre kind of sprinkled in. But I guess these films are specifically dealing with, the human body and how it's either transforming or, destroying itself or stuff like that. So definitely check out these films to give you the idea of how to write this subgenre. Let's continue. And finally, we're going to touch on two horror subgenres, something called Lovecraftian and King horror. So these exist. There exist two novel writers that are so popular within the horror genre that they created a popular subgenre for themselves. The first one is H.P. Lovecraft, who is the one who created the mystical world of Cthulhu and other dark tales of abomination. Now, I thought Cthulhu was a playing card game, but I guess he created it. So, and then the second is obviously dun dun dun, Stephen King, whose novels have inspired something like 30 horror films. So some movies to check out is H.P. Lovecraft Reanimator, 1985. From Beyond, 1986. Stephen King's The Shining, 1980. Now, his actual book of The Shining is very different from the movie The Shining, and Stephen King wasn't really happy about that. But then later, they did like a two-part TV series or TV movie in two parts of The Shining, and that was like closer to his novel. So definitely check out both. And then The Mist 2007, which was okay. I mean, there's tons of Stephen King horror movies. You got Pet Cemetery, Misery, Christine. There's so many guys but lately, like his more recent work, it's kind of like paint by numbers, and I guess I don't know. He became so rich and famous that he could literally write anything, and his hardcore fans will love anything he does, and they're so biased that he can do no wrong. I don't know. You let me know in the comments. But I like the older Stephen King. His more recent stuff is just, it's kind of like The Walking Dead. It's, they have his core fans, like the core fans can watch anything and they can do no wrong. So, I don't know, you let me know. You recommend me some of his current works for me to check out, and then I'll read them and then get back to you. So, comment down below. So, that's pretty much it, guys. We still got a few more parts of the subgenres to take a look at. So, don't worry. We still got a lot more, fun videos coming. So until next time, please like, subscribe to my channel, help me grow it. I'm going to be doing a couple live streams and some horror movie reviews coming soon. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like, share this video, hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, comment down below. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also don't forget to check out my other videos. And until next time, remember my motto, where story comes first.